Live now. We live?
We're
Mm-hmm.
live.
All right. Hey, everybody, and happy holidays. We missed you just as much as you missed us.
Hello.
This is Miss Green Eyes Net from Culture Club Conversations, and I have my two beautiful real life cousins, y'all. These is my real cousins and my best cousins. I'm sorry, guys. Like, I know you're not supposed to pick, but let's be real. I've been through a lot, and you two have held me down the whole way. Introduce yourself, ladies. Go with
I can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I can't hear. Are we? Yeah, I couldn't really hear. It was
Okay.
like
We had
choppy.
some technical issues, but hey, who doesn't? If we didn't, we're gonna go ahead and introduce my two beautiful cousins, and we're gonna start with REM. Tell them what it stands for.
Hi. It stands for Real Estate Michelle. That's me, or the REM. Happy
Yes.
holidays, everyone.
All right. And
And I'm
this
gonna
is
pass it
your
on
girl
over to
Marilyn Monroe.
Eminem,
Eminem. Yes.
and that stands for Marilyn Monroe.
Absolutely. Marilyn Monroe. So tonight's topic is dating, marriage, and divorce. Um, it's a topic that majority of would you say majority of women experienced? Of course, the dating part. Of course, marriage and divorce is hand in hand. Not everyone experiences that, but dating for sure. So, we're going to talk about all three. Why? Because we experienced all three. All three of us experienced all three. How about that?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that good or bad?
um, it's
Good, bad,
bad, I
and
guess, if you
indifferent.
could. Yes.
It might
So,
be good though.
yeah. Well, you're right. It's very good. So let's discuss.
Yes.
Let's first start with the first thing, dating. And we can base this off of our person or persons that we had dated, married, and then divorced. So let's discuss the dating
Okay.
process of that person. Like, how was that dating life like with your now ex?
Okay,
Rem?
we can go. We can go there.
Who's? Oh, look, me.
Mhm.
All right, so let me make a disclosure first before I go there. So, okay, how I want to put this disclosure. He may or may not see this. I've been deleted off of his Facebook. I always make that disclosure because of his wife.
Wow.
However, I'm using his content. So here we go. He does comedy, and I'm using his content. Yeah, that's why I
Mhm.
was deleted. Anyway, um, so so my first marriage, because this is my second one, we dated for a very short time. And I think that was good and bad at the same time. And the reason I say that is because we only dated for like 2.5 months and then we got married. And he was coming out of a marriage. I had never been married before, but and we were in the hot phase of dating. So that's when nobody can do anything wrong. Your breath don't stink. I don't care if your feet stink. It's okay with me. Like that's that. Like you could do no wrong stage, right? Everything's
Yeah.
it's okay. He's it's okay that this So we really I'm not gonna say we didn't get to know each other because we did. We spent a lot of time together. However, I hadn't seen him mad yet. He hadn't seen me mad yet. I hadn't seen how he dealt with crisis and dilemmas and things that pop up in life. He hadn't seen how
Mhm.
I dealt with those things either. So there were a lot of things. Oh, and then he came out of a marriage with 3 kids, with baggage. And I wasn't equipped yet because I was still immature. So I didn't know how to deal with a lot of the baggage that he came with. So I take responsibility for some things that happened. We both played a part. But I think that there's the honeymoon phase of dating. And we essentially got married in the honeymoon phase of dating. So I would never, ever in my life, today, I would never advise anybody to do that. Like, get to know how they are when they're sick, when they're mad, when things aren't going right in their life. Get to know them in those arenas. Travel with them. You got to see different faces of them to have a good, solid marriage. So that's where Rem is going to leave this for now.
So the dating though, the dating in itself, like, like you said, it was definitely honeymoon. Yes. The period of honeymoon. Yes. Like you're dating, like you said, you really didn't have much of a dating time because of after 2.5 months you got married. So I mean, with that,
yes,
he was just perfect to you in a sense of
he could do no wrong. Like he was everything. Yes,
well, because you probably had that natural high.
Okay.
Yeah, like we both did.
And that's
real. I know the story, but
yeah, like that googly eyes, that this is love, this is wonderful, all those things, and we hadn't seen each other's different faces yet.
So did you have a friendship with him before, or did you just like 2 months you met him and he was a new person and you didn't know anything about his background? Okay,
that's right. So I got to know him in that. And that I'm saying it to you like that's correct, like as if you didn't know the story. However, but yes, and I don't recommend anybody doing that, even though it feels good. Don't get me wrong. We were we were on that love high, right? So it feels great, but again, you lose all those pieces to the puzzle that you need to actually build a good marriage. So those puzzles that we needed, we didn't. Those pieces to the puzzle that we needed, we did not have, and we tried to find them within the marriages, and we were just missing too many pieces.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Okay, Green Eyes, you're dating your ex. How was that? Like, how was that introduced? How did it feel? How did it go? And this is all pre-marriage.
Well, I was young. I had my first daughter already. So, by the time I graduated, I had my first daughter. And I moved into a neighborhood with my dad, and we were outside. I was pushing her around. And I'm like a outgoing, spoken person anyway. So I remember commenting out loud. He drove by, and I was like, "Who is that?" And his little brother was not that far off, still in school, riding a bike. He heard me. He was like, "That's my brother." I was like, "Boy, that's not your brother." He was like, "Yes, it is." Long story short, it was his brother. So I gave him my number. He called me, and everything was cool. He was still, I had graduated, so he's younger than me by a year or so because he was a senior in high school. And I was already out of school. And basically, him being that age and me having a kid, being able to go over to his house, be cool with his parents, everybody acted like that was their kid. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So for me, who wouldn't want to be with a family man like my dad? Like, come on, you know what I'm saying? So it was a no-brainer for me when we met that this is somebody I should keep in my back pocket because I'm a young girl with a kid who's gonna want to be with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just reality. That's what I was thinking back then, and it was nice. It was lovely. We went out all the time. He included her. I stayed over his house more than I was home with my daughter. So it's like, it was a no-brainer for me. So the dating thing, he didn't have to do much because you win me over when you don't even have to be a father to my child because I've always been an independent working woman. But if you can establish a relationship with my child and my child likes you and I like you, you're good.
Yeah.
So that's what it was for me. That's what won me over because I was already a semi-grown adult out here having kids. So all your fast people real quick, like just wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, being a parent is beautiful, but I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world for what I've been through, but if I could help somebody else out, just wait a minute. Wait till you got your life together before you have a kid.
Yeah.
What about you, Marilyn? How was your dating of your
Ex.
Yes,
My dating.
yes,
Okay, so
please.
back
Please
in the
share with the
day,
class.
yes, I will. So back in the day, I met my ex on social media. Remember MySpace?
ex?
So I was a
Don't
top,
we remember
like,
MySpace?
yes,
That was the best. Sorry, Facebook, but
yes,
MySpace
yes.
was the best.
So I was the top, like, you know how you can do top friends, you can do top 6, 7,
Yeah.
3,
Yeah.
So I was like a top, yeah, I
I'm
was
not
a
on your
top,
top
like,
friend.
yeah. So I was a top like 5 on one of a friend's page, a newer friend
Mhm.
of mine's page. Why? Mainly because, I take creativity like super far. So I would always, with MySpace, I would always, like every couple of weeks, change up my like theme and, have different like layouts and stuff like that. So she put me as her top because she was a newer friend. And so she was dating my ex's coworker, and my ex was going, well, the coworker was going through her MySpace and saw my profile and said to her, hook me up. So fast forward, we met at a mutual place and we started dating. Like it was very much dating. It was around the holidays. He provided me with like gifts, and he provided me with a key to his apartment. Um, we actually
Mm,
dated, yeah, like it was within
mm.
the first maybe 6 months, the first 6 months, and we dated
Uh-huh.
like just dated, very innocent, very nice. We talked on the phone. It was just very nice. um I didn't ever get the warm and fuzzies in the way of like I was in love. It was just like he was a very nice man that was very much, together. Sometimes we just don't, you don't always go for someone
Mhm.
that's just your type. You go for someone that is going to be able to be
That
mature and
it
be able
works.
to, yeah, it works. So we dated. I mean, he spent money. He's a good, he definitely love bombed. And so we just had a great dating sense. And that's how it began. I mean, we really, really dated. Again, I didn't get the warm and fuzzies, but it was just like it was nice to have that companion that was established. I didn't have to, pay for the
Mhm.
bill. I didn't have to worry about, all the things that that you would have to make sure you keep your own separate money just in case he don't got enough. No, no, no. He made certain that
Yeah.
he love bombed like big time. So that's how we started
Mhm.
dating, and it was a nice dating time. And then he proposed probably about a year in. So now
Mhm.
I'll stop there. Let's talk marriage. After the dating, marriage. Hey everyone that joined. I see we have
Love
two
Yeah.
and
people.
marriage, love it.
I've been thanking them for watching. That's why you keep seeing me looking down. So I'm not disinterested because I love you guys
Yes,
to
thank
death. But
y'all
I've
for,
been
for joining us.
engaging with people on YouTube just to thank them for
Mhm.
watching.
Yes.
So let's go to you, Rem. What's going on with your marriage?
Hi to
How'd that
married
happen?
people.
Do we want to? Okay, we'll still.
We still
I'm
talking about the
sorry.
same person. We
I
talking
sound
about,
like
yeah.
I think I sound like Josh.
We still talking about the
So
same person.
okay, we talk about the same person. So the marriage actually wasn't bad. I mean, like I said, there were a lot of bumps in the road because of certain situations. But we had I think our friendship grew pretty strong during the marriage. We enjoyed each other's company. We laughed a lot, in that regard. But again, with certain serious situations, we weren't ready. We were not equipped. Like he was very bad with money, which was not good because he was kind of like, I'm looking for you to provide a certain whatever, and he's making good money. And he was just very bad with it. He would spend all of his and be like, okay, I'm broke for 2 weeks. Can you help me? And I'd be like, okay. So I always had to keep, like what Miss Marilyn Monroe mentioned, how she didn't have to like worry about that because she was like, okay, I know he got it. If he's inviting me out to dinner, he has it. Well, in my first marriage, it was like I always had to kind of keep a little small nest egg because I never would know when he would be like, I need this for that. And I'm like, well, where's your money? And I would just do it because I'm supposed to be the helpmate, the wife, whatever. So, you know, you're backing them up. But the uncertainty of it all was like difficult for me because I'm like, how can we plan a future? How can we do certain things when there's so much uncertainty? And then he also had an ex-wife and 3 children, and he was paying child support, a significant amount of money in child support. And this was years ago, like over how many years ago? When I get married, hold on a minute, let me think. This is over what, 15? No, more than 15 years ago. Because Cameron is what? Yeah, about 15 years ago, 16 years ago. And he was paying an alimony and child support $2,000 a month. So you can imagine what that would equate to today, as far as what, you know, that was a lot of money, like $2,000 a month, like going out the door for 3 kids and alimony. And then a lot of things were still in his name that belonged to her. Well, not belonged to her, that she had possession of, like the house, there was a car. So here we are trying to rebuild, you know, trying to do this marriage thing. And we never talked about the car. We never talked about, you know, what the plan was for the house. We never talked about the fact that we were going to have your kids for the summer because she had no running water. She lost the car and the house was in foreclosure. So like all of these things we're dealing with in the first year of marriage. So it's just like, whoa, what have I gotten myself into here? You know.
Do you feel like
I don't know if I'm
had y'all had dated longer, and had you had dated longer, you might have got all those red flags. And with that one,
yeah, we should have dated longer, and I should have allowed him time and space to deal with some of the things that that he had as far as his baggage. Because I was a single mother, and I'm not gonna say I was doing great, but I was doing all right. I had my own house, my own car, I got 3 kids. It wasn't peaches and cream and roses. Yeah, it wasn't peaches and cream. Don't get me wrong, because being a single mother is not an easy thing to do. And I hate saying that now, single mother. Like, you know, I was a single parent, you know. I just don't like it's just, it has a negative connotation. But I was raising my kids on my own, and yeah, it does. And so so I'm not gonna say it was peachy, like I said before, but I was pretty solid at that time. And now all of this is all my whole boat is rocking. I don't know what is going on. I don't know what is happening. I got these 3 kids. We didn't move down to Virginia Beach. You know, we're not even in Maryland no more. We all the way down here. You know, what is happening? I didn't sold my house and I got rid of all this stuff and furniture. And right now we have 6 kids living in the house, and your ex-wife is getting $2,000 a month. What is she doing with the money? You know, so I was just like, okay, our grocery bill was like $800 a month, you know. And back then, think about it, $800 a month. What does that equate to today? That was like a lot of money. Like
it's like
so we took all these things on in the first year of marriage. Yes. And we were doing it. But it was a lot. It was stressful. And not only that, then the ex-wife started causing drama. Showing up at the house, knocking at the door. She wants the kids. Well, lady, you don't have any running water. What are you going to do with them? They can't even take a bath. They can't flush your toilet. You know what I'm saying? Like, just be happy they're in a safe environment with running water. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, this is what we dealt with. This is what I dealt with first year of marriage. So I'll leave it at that because I feel like we're telling the story in segments. So I'm gonna stop there.
And when I did like this, that meant shots fired. I don't want nobody to think I'm talking about going to get nobody or nothing like that. I got these for that. You know what I'm saying? I don't need none of that.
I got the shots.
Yeah.
So mine, okay.
It was a lot.
We're in in the marriage phase. So with mine, I gotta backtrack just a little bit because now I was dating him or whatever you call it. We had kids together by now, so for like 10 years. And then in another segment or episode that you guys will learn about that I had to brief you a little bit on right now to explain it. Because I was only married for 6 months, but we dated or lived together with our children for 10 years. And we lost 2 children together, so I'll leave it at that. But I feel like that's why we got married. I feel like we got married because we had a trauma that we both were dealing with. No one else would understand us but us. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's going to get what it feels like to lose a kid, but if you lost a kid. So, and then for me to lose 2 at one time, I'm like, oh my gosh, for me, I probably felt like I was never going to be able to move on again or even be the strong Lynette that I am today. But it's like, we were perfect for each other. We were supposed to be together because we were supposed to mend each other. But this is just me thinking that because of what we went through. And then 6 months later, the switch just went boop. And then it was like back in a previous episode, we talked about abuse. And that was the person that I went through that with. So at the same time, that switch went off like, girl, what are you doing married to him? What happened? What? You're married? Like, it was like I didn't even realize all of that had happened. I think I just did it because I felt like that's what I was supposed to do. And then I was like content. Like the divorce just happened. He ended up, if you follow the story, and when we do have the episode, he got incarcerated due to the accident, but that's another story. But that was the easy way out for me because he couldn't really fight me back about it. And it was a decision that I made, and I didn't want to be fought back about it because I needed to heal for me. I needed to get myself together because it's no way. Listen to me, people. Traumas, marriages, relationships, all of that. Get yourself together first because you're not going to be happy. You're always going to feel like that person owes you or you owe them. It's not your fault. It's not his fault. Just let it go. Get yourself together first because you can't be there for each other if you don't even know how to be there for yourself. And I didn't. So I felt like I needed somebody, but good old switch. Boy, I love it. I'm glad that switch hit real quick because 6 months is compared to how long it really could have took or what I really would have went through. And speaking of domestic violence, I don't know if you guys saw the news, the lady in Maryland that got shot in the head and her 4-year-old son got shot in the head and her baby girl got shot. So it's real. Like it's real. Like people feel some type of way about certain people. And when you feel that, just go. Because that switch clicked for me and I remember feeling like that. So I was like, this is not where I'm supposed to be. And I really felt like the paper for him was that control, and I didn't need him to have that over me because I already been through some stuff for him. So my switch went off. Thank you, Lord. He knew what he was doing.
So when exactly did the switch go off? Like what month out of the 6 months? Was it like the second month? And did you not have any red flags when you were dating?
Like, yeah, of course we had the red flags because he was abusive, all of that. So that's why I know clearly we only got married because of what we went through. Like I was hurt, he was hurt. I felt sorry for him, he felt sorry for me. He proposed to me. I'm like, yes, this is what we're gonna do because we're gonna be happy again, is what I thought. Like we just lost the kids. We gotta be happy after this. But then realizing like everything we were going through because we saw the court case we were going through, then he just recently got incarcerated for the accident. So it's like this is too much for me. And then I was still going to court for the accident. So it was a lot that I still needed to deal with myself. So the switch probably went off maybe like 4 months into the marriage, but because he got incarcerated, it was a process. So then he really realized how I felt, and then he filed for it, and then his mom served me the papers, but it was
let's
like
not That's the divorce part.
Oh, my
We gonna
bad.
get there. We gonna get there.
Your turn.
We
Let's
get there.
let's go to Ty. Let's go to Marilyn Monroe. Let's learn about your
The
marriage
marriage.
journey.
So
Married.
the second step up from
Yes,
the
the
date was
marriage.
marriage.
Let's go.
So the marriage, like I said, he proposed probably about a year after we dated, and it was it was a like I said, it was more of a not compatible that we were compatible. It was just again for me, I would say it was definitely he just he had it together in a sense, or was able to get things together. So absolutely, I will definitely oblige. I got a nice ring. We had a small wedding. Well, initially we're gonna have a big wedding, but then I got pregnant, so we had a small wedding. And of course it's crazy because in the marriage, my due date was the same day as the wedding that I had planned prior to even finding out I was pregnant. So the wedding wasn't supposed to happen anyway, right? So yeah, so we throughout the marriage, it was definitely red flags, of course. And I think a lot of marriages, life allows us to stay longer than sometimes we should.
Mm-hmm.
Every year for me, and it's been 15 years. Every year for me, it was like, an event. We had four sons, collectively. And it was just something going on with the children, of course, us establishing, different things and different pluses in life. We end up moving out of state together. We started over together. We leaned on each other because of being out of state, moving out of state and starting a whole new life out of state. And just, it was just very much companionship versus it being like a love
Mm-hmm.
for me.
There's a difference.
And
My goodness, there's a
it's
difference.
a big yeah, it's a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the marriage, it was the marriage for me. It was more so it became a um contractual um must have. Like you must complete it. Like you
Obligation.
started, you better finish it.
Yeah, obligation.
You start.
Contractual obligation.
Yeah, you started, you
Mm-hmm.
better finish it. And I'm not saying that I didn't
Yep.
love my husband. Of course I love my husband. But it was just more so like, I mean, we established all this stuff together. You better finish it. You better, it looks nice. It's nice to be married, that type of thing. And for me, I'm from a family of women, strong women, actually both sides of my family, strong women, that we don't require to have a man to be a strong woman and to be able to be successful and to be able to be, outspoken and da 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 da. It's great to have a partner and a companion, but it's not necessary. So I being married for me wasn't like a reward, or like I didn't feel like it was necessary for me to, keep it going if in fact I didn't feel like we could do something with what we had, period. So like I said, our marriage was okay,
Mm-hmm.
in a sense of the red flags throughout time. And sometimes red flags will not stop until you stop. Sometimes people think, oh, well, it was one red flag six
The
years ago.
contractual
Okay,
part
well, yeah,
of
like
it.
one red flag 6 years ago, and it's like, okay, well, you keep going with this thing, this train, because it's gonna be another Six Flags a year ahead of you, and it's gonna keep coming until you stop. A red flag is just that. It's stop, stop and reconsider based off of all the evidence and the things that you've seen. Stop and reconsider, and so you can't continue a marriage
Yeah.
um, just because you want to finish something you started.
It's
You
not
don't
a
want to.
it's right because some people feel like it's a goal, but it's not always goals aren't
No.
always meant to be met.
It's
Right.
not really a contractual agreement. You were treating it as a contractual agreement, and that
Yeah.
really
Literally.
shouldn't be what
Yeah.
marriage
Yeah.
is. Yes, we both have an obligation to our marriage, to our relationship. However, you still have of loving and caring, like a real sincere care and love for that person, like to say that's my husband, that's my
Right.
wife. And like people say
Right.
those terms loosely, But like
Right.
that's some deep stuff when you say like, oh, that's my husband. And I
Yeah.
think that's why some people, if you notice, they like, for me, if I say that, it does something to me. So I'm careful just not to just throw it around and my husband, my wife, I'm careful because I'm like, no, do you understand what you're saying here? A lot of people don't really get it. They just throw it around like it's a fad,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
it's not a
Yeah.
fad.
Yeah.
It's
It's
not.
a real thing. Yeah.
They're so caught up in the title. And a lot of times, like I said, those red flags, like they will not stop coming. I
Yeah.
don't care if you didn't see one for the last 5 years. If in
Right.
fact they will not stop coming. So, we continued
Yeah.
on until the break. And we're gonna discuss the
Yeah.
break. And I'll stop mine and I'll let Rem pick up on her break. What was your breaking
So
point?
when did you
When
know
did
it was
divorce come into
over?
play?
It was done.
When I know it was done, it was cooked.
It was over.
Burnt to the crisp. So my former husband was a military man. And for military men, they can detach. I believe they are really groomed to detach, right? Because a lot of times they have to detach from their feelings, from their family, a lot of things, and it takes a strong person to say, even though I have to detach from certain things because of the element that I'm in, I'm not going to detach from my family. I'm not going to detach from my wife. And I'm talking about emotionally, because physically you may have to detach, but emotionally you should stay involved in your family, involved in your marriage, right? Especially because our first couple of years were so rough. It was even more important to nurture that thing the way it should have been nurtured, right?
Yeah.
So again, I'd already been through so much with him and all of the baggage. And again, I'm not saying I didn't have some baggage to bring to the table, because I certainly did. I know I played a role in our breakup. However, I did not play the role of not communicating. And once you stop doing, yeah, I did not do that. Even if it was something he didn't want to hear, something I didn't want to hear, I did not stop communicating. Because in any relationship or any marriage, once that stops, it's over. I don't care how you flip it around. It's over. The relationship is over. There is no relationship, no marriage without communication. I don't care if it's, you know what, you really pissed me off today, right?
Yeah.
You're still communicating. You're getting those feelings out, doing what you need to do, right?
Right.
But when that stops and the other person is left with thoughts, is left with conclusions that only they can draw because they're not talking to you, then it's done. You have absolutely nothing left. So when he went overseas, he went to Bahrain, and we had collectively made a decision that he would go to Bahrain because the goal was, we weren't doing bad, but the goal was, you'll go over there, you'll make a bunch of money, tax-free, because it's considered, like a war zone, right? Tax-free. I'll be back home, maintaining everything, doing what I do, right? And that way he could dig himself out of certain things from the previous marriage financially. And I was on board for that. I was like, listen, if we got to make a sacrifice for 1 year so we can financially come out of some things that you brought to the table, let's do it, right?
Right.
So we were all for that. But you can't be in Bahrain and not talk to your wife for 2 weeks. Right? You got a phone.
Like it's active duty over there.
He wasn't out fighting the war. He was in the Middle East, but he had his apartment, his phone, his he was what they call more support, right? So he was able to have his own place, his phone, all those things. He had access to the internet. There was no reason.
None.
You don't call your wife. No reason you don't reach out to your wife to make sure everything's okay back home. No reason to get mad at your wife and not talk to her for 2 weeks. And then I'm left to be like, all right, you want to play that game? Then I can play, but that wasn't right for me either. Playing, I'm going to do it back to tit for tat.
Right.
But at the end of the day, men are supposed to be the head of their households. They're supposed to be the head of the marriage. I don't care what anybody says. Y'all can call me wrong if you want, but no.
They supposed to lead.
So yeah, and you know what? I read this post on Facebook, and it said a man that can't communicate can't lead.
No, and
so
exactly.
Correct.
Because you should be able to communicate
Correct.
about any and everything, and nothing should make the person upset because you two grown adults having just a conversation.
Yes,
that's it.
Correct.
If you
arguing, just like in the Bible, it comes before the fall. Yeah, pride was a big thing too, and I played a part in pride as well, because when he did stop communicating, I was just like, well, that's how he want to be. So I played my part too. So we were kind of both like, but that's not the way it should be. You halfway across the world.
Right.
You started this.
Right. And
even
though
you
mentioned
but you
he was moral
this.
support.
You shouldn't be acting like this.
Right. And you mentioned he was moral support for the war, but your brain, he's over there in another country being bombed or whatever. You don't know what's happening. You don't know what's happening.
Let me tell you something. One time, I'm really sharing. Good Lord. But one time we really being open. So all I asked him to do was like, listen, pay the house note. And there was a certain amount of dollars that I asked for monthly to maintain things in the house. Other than that, I ain't really bugging for nothing, because I've always been that woman that's just, right. I'm going to take care of mine regardless. So we had already established that. And that was established. Yeah. And so, yes.
That's what we do.
And so when he left, I had a power of attorney when he left. And because you just never know about these things, right? So I had a full power of attorney when he left. 1 month, I'm like, why the house note not paid? What about the money? Where's the I'm calling him, reaching out, like, hey, he's not answering. This is my husband, by the way. This is not somebody I'm dating. And again, we already had committed prior that this is what was going to transpire every month. And so I had to literally go to the bank and pull the money out of his account. I was sick because I felt like, because first of all, I didn't want to do that because I feel like you're my husband. It's just supposed to happen. This was only in a case of an emergency or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to do that. So when I had to do that, that just put a whole sour, like, what's happening? What is going on here? And so anyway,
the divorce.
I eventually talked to him later that day, but yes, the divorce. So I'm leading up to it. This is leading up to why.
This is what had happened.
Miss Bless said so true. So true. Miss Bless said so true.
Who said that?
Miss Bless.
Yes.
Our number one fan.
So thanks, Miss Bless. But yeah, so that detachment when he was away and just not fulfilling emotionally, and just all around being a husband while you're away. Of course, there's going to be a different dynamics because you're there, I'm here. But he started to really detach. And I didn't like it. I hated it because I'm like, no, this is when we should be even closer because we have to intentionally be close.
Right.
And no, that didn't transpire. And my hot head back then, because I was a little bit different, Michelle, back then.
Yes,
it's the calm one.
Yes.
So the way I was back then, I was like, okay, let me show you what I can do all by myself, right?
Let me show you what family I'm from.
So
both sides.
Correct. And that's pretty much and that ended up being the beginning of the end. So I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay, so while we're at it with you, like, so the divorce happened. Who initiated the divorce?
I did.
Okay. And
I
how many
initiated the
years were you
divorce. I
married?
filed for the divorce.
How many years were you married?
Almost 5.
Okay. And
almost 5. It was like 4 and some change.
Okay. Miss Green Eyes.
Yes.
Let's talk
So-
about that lead up to the D word. After 6 months.
Well, mine isn't really that long of a story because, like I said, we trauma bonded. So we were already together for reasons which we weren't supposed to be. And in my brain, like once I realized the switch went off, I was kind of like, did he know to ask me to marry him at this time? Because I would say yes. Like, did he
Right.
know me? So I was talking to myself a lot when my switch went off. Like, because like the real Lynette without the trauma is very smart and intelligent and single mom. Is that good to say, Miss Time Merle? Right. You know, we've always been independent women. We've never needed anybody. So I
You
knew I
were
was
a
gonna be
mother
okay.
raising your children.
Yes. So I knew I wasn't going to need anybody when the switch went off. So, like I said, I had already kind of like moved on. He had got incarcerated due to our accident. That'll be shared all in detail about that. But basically, we weren't supposed to be together. His mom came to my house. He filed for the divorce while he was incarcerated. His mom came to the house and served me with the papers, which was kind of like, yay, thank you. It was kind of like a gift. Like I didn't have to do it. You know what I mean? And then when we got divorced, when we went to court, he was still incarcerated. So he actually had got incarcerated he was facing like a lot of years, but it got knocked down to 18 months. But at the same time, I didn't want to wait for him to come home because, like I said, I felt like it was a trap for me. It was like the contractual trap that he was setting me up for. That had I had stayed and not made the move when I made the move, I felt like I would have been stuck, and it could have been a whole nother story. Like this may not have been happening because I might not be here because I knew I wasn't supposed to be with him. So the Lynette before the trauma, she already knew she wasn't supposed to be with him. But the trauma Lynette was like, oh my gosh, I just need somebody that feels the way I feel and wants to be with me.
Oh.
And now the divorced Lynette is happy as a So see, this is what divorce can look like. You know what I'm saying? I'm good. I'm good over here.
Trauma actually rewires your brain, and it does cause a chemical imbalance.
It does.
And I need
sometimes we've been through trauma, we don't think straight.
I need all these women out here that get divorced and they feel like they need to, like, because my situation, like I said, 10 years of a relationship, 6 months of marriage, divorce. Like it was like bing, bing, bing. Like some people have been with people for a long time, but when they get divorced, they like lose it. Like, don't lose yourself. Find yourself because there used to be a you before there was a you and him. So find yourself so you can go ahead and be yourself and stop. Like, we can talk about this kind of issue on a whole nother episode, but I just need to bring it up because some people use the fact that because me and my husband had kids together, like some people play their kids on their dads, and why do we do that? Like, or not say we, I'm gonna say we as women, but I don't do that. But it's like a lot of stuff that comes with the divorce process because people are bitter. Don't be bitter, be better. Just keep going. Like it's not that serious. Life is not over. You still breathing, you still walking, you still on this earth. Like things could when you hear my story, you just gonna be like, why? Why do I act the way I act?
Really?
Like for real. Like it's no point.
Really?
It's no point. So it's like divorce.
And honestly, I feel like, sometimes divorce is necessary. Like some people will try to like push marriages to stay together that are unhealthy and toxic, and the person comes out on the other side. You're like, what the heck been happening to them?
And see, like people our age, we have older family members that push for us to stay married. but it's okay. Like it's not meant to be like
Mm-hmm.
every the guys that our relatives that have been married for like 60 plus years, they don't make those men anymore. And the Lord knows that because he knows the product of the man that's coming out today. You know what I'm saying? So
The
we
Lord knows.
good. We good. Like I'm so serious because men are not the same. They not. It's like going to pick an apple off a tree. Sometimes you get the perfect sweet delicious one and sometimes they be sour and sometimes they got a worm in them. You know what I mean? Like just saying.
Just saying.
But I'm
So,
happy to be
Bob,
I
divorced
think
over
there's
here.
still
I'm
some, I
glad.
think there's still some good men. It's still some
It
good
it
men,
is,
but
Yeah,
not
they
a
are.
disclaimer
unfortunately,
for men. It
they're
is
more
still some
they're
good
more the
men out there.
minority. They're more the minority than the majority. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Sorry guys. Like
And when you
I'm
find a
not being
good
a
one,
men
keep
badger because
them.
I love
Keep that
men.
man.
Keep,
So
keep that
Yes.
let
marriage.
me cap off my
Yeah,
my
Yes,
like I'm
let's
not
divorce.
let's
trying to be the
let's
man
let's
badger.
dead your marriage now. What had
Yeah.
happened was
Let's dead it. Stick a fork. So
What had happened
I have
was
I've again how I began to describe, my background of my families, how we are very much strong women. I say that to say being a strong woman and being a woman of like, it's great to have a partner, in a good relationship in that aspect. We had the example. So even though we are full of strong women, we had examples of, our grandparents being together forever and a night. However, it depends on the day of the week. My great grandmother would say, I married the wrong man. She would tell you in a heartbeat, I married the wrong man. I think, and I'm a piggyback off of what you
why
both
did my mother
said.
say that 2 days ago? She
Yeah.
said that about
I'm a piggyback off of what you
she
both
said it about
said. I
grandma.
think,
Yeah.
I think a lot of marriages that had, the back in the day marriages and current marriages, I think the women or the men give too much grace. I mean, like, if you ask an old couple, like, how did you stay married for so long? How did you, and they'll say a lot of forgiveness.
yes.
And and that forgiveness and certain things don't change. It doesn't matter 70, 80 years old, 80 years married. A lot of times it's the same scenario. Just like Bible, you can read the Bible and a lot of that stuff you can identify with reading it, the stories. You could say, "Oh my gosh, that's a trainer." I know, like you can identify who it is in today. Um so back in the day, a lot of those men and women, they did the same thing we do today. But it's just a lot of forgiveness. And as for me and my marriage, I can't forgive so much. I can forgive some, but then you have to make an intelligent decision to say, am I going to sit in this?
Because you can't
So,
forget.
yeah,
Yes.
you can't. So
I'm gonna
after,
interject.
hmm,
I'm gonna interject. So here's the other part that a lot of us miss, but we know is that women, we now can earn, we can learn, we can do all the things that men do. Back in the day, the women weren't making all the income, the same amount of income. They weren't able to provide for their families and they had to depend on that man to do so. So even if he was
yes,
beating them, cheating on them, having other kids with other women, they couldn't
it had to
leave
stay.
because they had no means or real means to take care of themselves and their children. Women today
Yes.
are
Thank
not
God
like
that's changed.
those women.
Thank God
Yes.
that's
We're actually
changed.
able to do those things.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank God that
So
has
yes.
changed.
So some
Yes.
people
Hmm.
would say that was a feminist statement. That's not a
No,
feminist statement because I'm
no.
all rah-rah. If y'all want to be,
No,
I'm all still
no,
rah-rah. If you
it's
want to be
not
married
because
and
it's
you want to
real
have a
life.
healthy
All of
relationship,
our
all those,
grandmothers have told us that.
but
All
that's
of our
real. That's
grandmothers
real.
have said that.
Yeah, that's real. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sleep in
Yeah.
separate
So,
rooms. Like
So
it's
go ahead,
older
Miss Mary.
grandparents that sleep in separate rooms. You know what I'm saying? Like they choose to do
Yes.
that. I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
no. So I decided,
Absolutely.
you know, being in my marriage, I was mentally and emotionally gone before I physically left. Like I was gone. And I remember like a song that played on the radio every day at 5 o'clock, I would say, you will miss me one day when I'm gone. I would always say that to him. Because I was, and some people would say, oh, you put it out there. Yeah, because it was already in here and it was already made up in here.
It was already
so
in here.
I would say it.
Now you
And
dropping
I would
hints.
say, you're gonna miss me one day when I was gone. And don't get me wrong, like you said, Rem, like, thank God, I didn't make as much as my husband, my ex-husband. However, I made well enough so when I skated, when I left, it didn't hurt at all. I wasn't like, oh my God, a bill. Oh my God, I need, like it was just like, okay, resume. Like so I made it up based on, again, nothing coming from me, in a sense. I mean, I did kind of conform to some of his antics. I did conform to some of that, and which, again, I had made it up long before leaving. I was already mentally gone, and I was gone here. And so, and I'm gonna be honest with you, and this is the next topic of divorce, and that was me walking away from 15 years of marriage. Let's just put it out there: 15 years, a decade and a half. So let's put it out there. So a lot of times that first part of divorce is the grief. It's the grief. How did you guys feel regarding your end of your marriage? How did you grieve? Did you feel hurt? Were you sad? Did you cry? Miss Green Eyes saying no. So go ahead, Miss Green Eyes.
I wasn't, because like I mentioned, mine wasn't supposed to happen. So I was happy. I was relieved that it wasn't me that had to start the process. So that even made it better. Like I got served the papers. So I was like, thank you.
Thank you.
Amen. Move on. Like I didn't be like, move on to the next, but that with my trauma, I had to get myself together, but it was like perfect timing. So I didn't have a party or anything, guys. I'm gonna
have a party.
But
okay, Rem, how did
you have a divorce
party? Did you grieve, Rem, or were you sad, or were you?
Did you wear black?
No, I wasn't. I did feel some type of way, and I probably for a short time grieved what could have been. But because I've been through so much trauma in a short amount of time in that relationship, that's how I felt. Even though we did have good times, I'm not saying we didn't have any good times. But I was young back then. I was in my late 20s, early 30s. And so all that trauma and everything that I had to deal in that short period of time, I was like relieved. And honestly, I was like ready to kind of just move on. And that's why I just kept the process going, because I would be like, I would tell him, okay, I filed divorce. I filed this today. I need you to sign this. Like he was living in Virginia still. He had came back from Bahrain. He was living in Virginia. And I was like, okay, this is what's coming to you. This was going, and he just cooperated to the end until I got it to the end. And it was just like, okay, it's done. Yeah. So I didn't, and like I said, I think I grieved for a short time what could have been. But after I was done with that, I was like, I'm good. I was like brushing myself off. Like, woo,
yeah. All right. I think the first, because mine was very much like, it was plans, but it was like very much like, okay, now it's time to go. Master going to the store, run, like that. Like for me, it was very much like, Master going to the store, run.
Did y'all tell Tubman that we need a ride?
I just grab what I can grab and run. So, girl.
The Underground Railroad.
Y'all are.
This is it, girl. We can laugh about it now, but
no, because I realized how that run feels, like how you want to get out of there.
Hallelujah.
That's why I was relating.
Yes, and everything lined up so well. Everything lined up so well. Like
somebody just yelled, run.
The escape route lined up so well. Like the safe house was ready, waiting. The car was running. And I could just jump in and go. The chains was broken. Girl, you know.
Yeah, but we laughing because we family and we know the growth of you since you walked away. but we all know
Yes,
that
it's
feeling
real.
that you're describing. That is
Yeah.
real when
Yes.
when you got your
Yeah.
bags by the door, but he don't know it, and you waiting for him to take a nap. You
Yes.
like, yo, soon
Girl,
as you go
I
to
had the
sleep,
truck
I'm
running,
out.
the safe house full of
Got the
food,
auto
the
start.
lights
Boop,
on.
boop.
I was like, so it lined up so well. It was definitely random. It was a plan, but it was a plan at random. Like I just executed it on a day. It was like, okay,
For
today's the day.
real, for real. We got a phone
Absolutely.
call. That's how
Yes,
random it
real,
was.
real shit. So let me just make this clear, and this is to everybody and anybody that's listening. If you're listening and you're tuning in, because I see quite a few people that are tuning in, I really, really appreciate you tuning in, because this is real life shit, and we're talking about our personal stuff, in which we know everyone goes through breakups and dating and marriages, possibly, and divorces and all of that, and it's just a part of life, and it's okay. It's okay. But we're laughing because it was really, really that for me. But I will say this, I did walk away from a lot. Like, I didn't walk away from just like, oh, it's just we have a kid together, or oh, we had a lot of stuff, and we still do. Assets, just a lot of stuff tied in. And so many people, I'm gonna be honest with y'all too, because you know, and you guys didn't give me this. I had people saying to me, are you crazy? Why would you leave your house, your new house, a new brand new house you just built? And why did you leave my husband, ex-husband, he made great money. Why would you leave that? Why would you? I'm gonna tell you something. You can make it about that if you want and stay in your relationship and be miserable 20 years from now and be 60 years
My
old talking
Lord.
about you woulda, coulda, shoulda, but not Marilyn Monroe. Not at all. I knew I had better. And so yeah, I ran away. It wasn't a walk. I ran away. And I'm gonna be honest with you and listen to me clearly. My leaving, or anybody that walks away from a marriage or relationship, let's just be real clear. Let's stop making this the narrative that they left for someone else. They left for them first.
Your
Someone
guilty
else.
conscience says they left for
Yeah,
someone else
let's be
because you
clear.
knew what
It's
you
some
weren't
things.
doing.
It's some things that
They
you
all
weren't
they
providing.
a lot of men that helps their ego. It helps their ego so that
A
she
lot of
left
people,
Women
because of
too.
somebody else.
too.
No,
Women too,
It's that
because they just
pride. It's that
automatically
pride.
no,
assume.
she
Yeah.
left because she was totally unhappy.
So
Period.
did either of
Mhm.
you have any type
Yeah.
of
No,
humiliation,
absolutely.
or did you guys feel like embarrassed, humiliated during and at the end of your divorce? Because I'm gonna answer it real fast. I didn't. Like so many people, and that was 15 years and a whole bunch of shit. I'm not embarrassed. I'm not
No.
embarrassed. You could not even humiliate me.
No. You can't, and that's a
No,
part of being the strong, independent
no,
women that we are. Like,
no,
and to
because
backtrack.
when you have self love, yeah, no, self love. When you love yourself first, it doesn't. None of the rest of that crap matters. Like
None of
I
it.
love. I know. I
Right.
remember my mom asking me one time, and she's asked me this multiple times. She says, "Who?" She asked me, "Who do you love, Michelle?" When she's trying to figure out what I'm doing with myself, and I'm
Mhm.
like, "I love me, Mom." And she's like, "No, you know what I'm asking you. Like, are you still in love with him? Do you love him?" I love me.
That's right.
I love me. And that love
Period.
has to come first. Because if I don't
Right.
love me, I don't know how I love nobody else until I love myself. And I will stay in situations that I don't need to be in. And that's how we end up sometimes in situations longer or in bad, abusive
Yes.
situations because we haven't worked on our self-love first.
Yes.
Right.
So
Right.
she's just like didn't understand. She could be a little old school at times, but I'm like, no. I'm like, I love me.
That's
I
it.
love me.
Right.
I've never been
Yeah.
humiliated or embarrassed about it. Not
Right.
at
And
all.
to backtrack
No.
on a little bit of
And
what
that's
you
because
said,
and that's
Marilyn
because I love
Monroe, we
me. That's
never
because
judged
I love
you
me.
because, first of all, we went through our situations first. So how could we judge you for doing something we already did? That's
You
one.
two
Yeah.
during
No, I
my
was a
process
girl
of
one.
everything. during my process of everything, I would say you two have been so supportive. You were both so freaking surprised. As close as I am with my
Like for
family,
real.
yeah, as close as I am with you both, you guys never, you never
Okay.
like made me feel like I was doing the wrong thing.
Because you weren't.
Virtual hug.
And
I
I really
know.
appreciate
No,
that.
you
Like
weren't. Because you
everybody
weren't.
was shocked. Everybody was shocked because I keep my business to myself.
And let
You
me tell
know,
you, I was shocked too.
Yeah.
I can't stand
But in never
that hard.
any way
Yeah.
did I feel like I needed to ask you, are you crazy? Why would you? Because I knew the you before him, and you
No.
already was doing your thing and taking care
Thank
of
you,
your
Miss Flash.
responsibilities then. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you really didn't
Yeah.
have to worry about anything. Like,
Yeah.
were you going to be heartbroken because of a 15-year relationship that you're not going to be in anymore? And the things
Yeah.
that you guys are still working out as, like, you know, like you said, y'all had stuff together.
Yeah.
So the stuff
Yeah.
you still working out and working on, like, no. If anything, we the two that was like, you need us to be down there? Like, you good?
Run!
Like,
Run!
we those two.
Keep
Right.
going. Yes.
Get that. Get
Like,
that. Like I said, I had the truck running.
Yes.
like
I
I
had the
don't
truck
play
running.
that. Like, man, woman,
I
or
knew
child,
that
don't
you
mess
left.
with
I
my
knew
family.
that you left him for you. At the end
Yeah.
of the day, I knew that you
Yeah.
left him for you.
And that's all
Yeah.
that mattered. Like,
Always.
that's
Like
all
people.
that
That's all
People
that
mattered.
think
mattered to me.
people always think it's something more. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care how it
Yeah.
looks. But it was for me. For me. Again, people don't leave just because the next
Yeah.
Denzel or whoever comes through the door. They leave because it's something ain't right with you two. It's something you ain't doing. And I think it's important to be honest with yourself and stop being so
Correct.
prideful, thinking that no one can leave you because you are just perfect.
Right. Right. Because if you were perfect, let's be real, you'd be perfectly still together. Like,
That part.
it's not like that. Like, some people, it's real it's real crazy.
That part.
That part.
The detachment part. Like, for me, my husband was my first and only husband. Not to say
Yeah.
like the only person I've ever dated after that. Like, he didn't traumatize me like that. But
No,
he's the only.
yeah.
I've only been married once, so I'm his only children's mother. So he has no more children. That's a little insider,
You
y'all. Watch the
smart.
past episodes, you will know. But he doesn't have any more kids besides the kids that he has with me. So I don't have to nothing else came with that. I didn't have to go through like now I did have to deal with in the beginning, like, nobody ever likes the mother of the children when they're
Of
dating.
course.
So of course I had to go through when he was being with other women after me, them not liking me and stuff like that. Well, my confident self was like, newsflash, I'm not going anywhere. We have children together. Like, I'm not going to argue with you. We're not going to fight. I had him already. So if I wanted him, I'd
that's
still
a
be with
whole
him, or
nother that's a whole
him.
nother podcast conversation. Newsflash.
Yes.
So,
And we can save that, but
yes.
literally, like, I'm not fighting no chick over. I did fight a chick over a dude, but that's another conversation.
Love you, Miss Blast. Thank you so much.
Because I was about to say I would never fight a chick over a dude, but I kind of fought over a dude, but not really. But that's another show, so we can talk about that later. Grown women who still scrap.
It will.
Real.
It will.
Yeah, something I wanted to do, but it's not something I'm ashamed of. I just say that.
Right, absolutely. We don't promote violence. We definitely
No, we don't promote violence, but we do promote self-defense. Okay. Just saying.
Where the camera is? Hold on, where the camera is?
My dad, rest his soul, said, and this is why I never really got into a lot of fights growing up, because for one, my dad would have tore my butt in half, but he said, don't hit them unless they hit you first. So once you swing, it's over.
My swing is like, if somebody can, well, I'll leave that alone. So
Save it for me. You good.
Let's talk moving on. Like, let's talk about moving on.
My swing is on paper because I can hurt you real bad on paper. Miss Marilyn Monroe, no, I can hurt you on paper.
Cease and desist, restraint. What you want? Don't.
I can hurt you real bad on paper.
Keep it real
You'll lose it all. I don't have to put up.
Keep it real cute. Keep it real cute. Bow out gracefully.
Just bow out. Just bow out.
Bow out gracefully. Because everybody don't need to be a part of your stuff. Like, it's important to, like, and that's another thing. Like, when it comes to your marriage and then your divorce process, you don't, like, we're sharing this after the fact. And actually, we're being very respectful toward our exes. Like, we're not naming anyone. We're not, like, bashing their character. Even though I'm sure we could pull the card. We're just not.
You just say that real quick. You're not lying. We've been through a lot with these exes.
Absolutely.
So for us to sit here, because you shouldn't have to talk bad about somebody else just because you're not together. Like, do these two know how I really feel about my ex? Oh, most definitely. But that's the only people that need to know. Y'all just need to know that we didn't work. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And
that's right.
It'll be other episodes of things that may have happened, and we may be talking about these people, but you just need to pay attention to the episodes.
Yeah.
You want to put
but we did have an episode of Can You Be Friends with Your Ex?
Yes, and we did have abuse.
You sure
so
can.
If you pay attention.
And
But it's like real. Like, just don't be that petty person. Like, I don't get the pettiness these days. Like,
because the same thing you could say about your ex, they could say 4 things back about you.
And think they can.
And granted, some of it may be wrong. Some of it may be wrong. But again, it's just keep it cute. Keep it cute. And honestly, like, everything you say out your mouth negative in a sense of, because once upon a time, that was your choice. That was your choice.
Correct.
Until the boat rocked.
Correct.
That was your choice.
Yep.
That was your everything. Until the boat rocked.
Yeah.
You know, so keep it real cute.
Your boo. That was your boo.
That was your boo. That was your man's in them.
And that's why I try not to have any. That was your man. I try not to have no beef with exes and stuff like that. It's just
it's no point.
Like, okay, it didn't work
because it says a lot about you. Like, it says a lot about you.
Why are we here? It didn't work out.
It didn't work out, and it's okay.
Yes,
and respectfully move forward. And I wish you well.
And just wish them.
I wish you
well.
I wish you well. Like, I wish you insight so you can see for yourself.
Right. Like, period.
Absolutely.
Like, I just don't get in it
because I want well for me too. So I'm definitely gonna wish them well.
Yeah, it's no bad blood.
Like, my ex-husband, he wasn't happy when I moved on because he never seen me with anybody else but him. I've been with him for 10 years. So how can you picture me being But he was petty in the beginning, like dating girls and excuse me, and bringing them around, and my kids with him being around them, but stuff like that don't bother me.
No.
I don't have to get you back. Like, was I hurt?
There's always to me, there's always like that weird period of like when you first break up and you're going through those rocky motions of the breakup, and they're just acting like, a lot of times they can just act like jerks. You know, you're like, hold on, I don't want to be a jerk towards you. I don't want to do that.
I was thinking about the coulda, shoulda been, like you mentioned before, real estate, Michelle. Like, was I hurt? Of course. I thought 10 years of me and him, we married, we could do this, but then we got a divorce and he moved on before me. But then when I finally moved on, his petty game stepped into gear. But luckily, I'm very outspoken, so I had already talked to the person that I was moving on with about my ex-husband, what we've been through, and I always explain, look, he doesn't know anybody but me for 10 years, and I don't know how he's going to act because he's never seen me with anybody else, but please don't hold that against me. We can talk about it, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't know what he's going to do because I never went through it. Like,
yeah.
So, like, I had, like, the little girl, and not to say he wasn't dating little girls. No, Diddy. Sorry.
No, that's not Kelly.
The younger.
No, Diddy.
The younger girls that he was dating because they were younger than me. they were more into the social media, so they were like posting stuff and saying stuff and taking shots.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, well,
God.
we can go that route because I do have a big petty button. Don't get it twisted. Like
Oh,
push
girl.
capital P, I will get it on because I will tag you on my social media and everything. But
I don't
Oh
even.
usually when I
God.
You know what? I'm skipping social media. I'm knocking at your door. Like
yeah,
real
but see,
talk. Like
usually when I
you can do
tag
that
you,
social stuff. I'm personal. I'm
right.
up close personal.
And that's my whole thing. Like now you don't put everybody in my business because I'm a pretty quiet person. Like I don't put my business on the things you know about me on social media is because I want you to know them. Not because I want you to know everything I'm going through. Like you two know everything, but everybody doesn't need to know everything. So when you put my
But
business out there before me, no.
a lot of people think they know you through social media, though. They think they
Right.
know
And
you.
you don't at
They
all.
do.
Like I post what you want me to see. What I want you to see.
I'm like, now the
Yeah.
people that know me.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah. So our viewers, we have a few viewers. Is there like anything that you want to ask us regarding our like just like the divorce process, the dating, marriage, all of that good stuff? Like, is anything you want to even share with us about like your experience in dating? I know we're gonna have another show in the future about dating. There's a lot of people that are single that are looking for, a good compatible partner. Sometimes we get married to learn and experience how not to act or what not to do, or to actually go
Yeah.
through the motions with the wrong person to find the right
Yeah.
person, because those
Yeah.
are possible. Like you can marry someone and you can kind of say, you know what, this is a
this ain't
test.
it.
This ain't
Yeah.
it. And you are
Yeah.
eligible to remarry. Go figure. You're eligible to date again. Like it doesn't end with the divorce. You're eligible. You won.
Look, I'm
So
going like this, like my other baby daddy gonna let me be on the dating show.
okay. So
He will be a
yeah. So
contestant. Let me find out.
Mm-mm.
whoa, whoa. So yeah, other than that, like this
That's
was our conversation, just us being candid about our dating, marriage, and divorce experience, and how difficult we know that it is to go through all of those phases. And it is definitely we're laughing now, but it's definitely a serious situation. And you will definitely get through. You just keep it be positive, keep it cute. And just always have people that are in your corner to be able to you can confide in and trust, because everything is not for everybody. You don't have to post every
absolutely.
single emotion on the internet,
Absolutely.
or you don't have to
Absolutely.
post and share with the internet or social media everything you're going through, because I promise you, just like you think you want the attention to be in favor of you, it's more than likely a lot of people that look at you in a negative way.
And they
They
talking behind your back.
big time.
Mm-hmm.
So just be mindful of the things that you do when going through your tough times of dating, marriage, and divorce. um
And
we're
we
not
sharing this with
professionals, but
you
we
because it's
definitely
real life.
have been through
I,
it.
I say find support, whatever that support is for you, whether it be good girlfriends, good
Good girlfriend.
cousins, a support
Yes.
group, whatever that is for you. Like find your support.
Yeah.
Yeah, and find yourself. Find yourself
Yeah.
again. Find
Absolutely.
And
yourself
we
again, and improve yourself in the best humble way. Be humble. Be very,
And
very
and
humble
we
about
brought
it.
this together to share our real life situations with you guys because people don't talk about things anymore. And a lot of people, especially our people, we don't go to the doctor, so therefore we don't see therapists. And we not therapists, but if you can learn anything from anything we talk about, that's what we do it for. Because a lot of people don't have people to talk to. You can talk to us anytime. You can DM us, you can email us, you can reach out and we'll
Yeah.
if we can't support you, we will put you in the right hands of the support that you need.
Yeah,
in
because
each and every
communication is
episode.
therapy. Communication is therapy. Conversations is therapy.
Absolutely.
It's just important. And like I said, it's
definitely
just not necessary
It
to
definitely is.
bash anyone, to make anyone look bad. Just express yourself. And just be better, do better. Don't be bitter. So other than that, that's it
Absolutely.
for the Culture Club tonight. This
We
is
want
our
to say
conversation.
happy holidays
Happy
again. And
holidays.
I forgot to say
holidays.
earlier, the
Happy
champs are
holidays.
here.
Go Eagles! Yes. That was
So-
a good game.
That was
Miss
a
Green
good
Eyes.
game.
I mean,
Yes.
can we just talk about something else? But anyhow.
Sorry.
This is the Culture Club cousins saying good night.
Good night.
And thank you all for joining us. And Happy
Good
New Year.
night.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We'll be back.
Happy New Year. We'll see you in 25. We'll see you next year.
Yes.
Peace out.
Here.
In a couple days.